Seventh graders, in this video we're going to talk about the verb to be. We're going to talk about ser. We've been doing some of this in class, but I want to give you the chance to review a video as well. So ser is our first conjugated verb, and I want to make sure before we do anything that you understand the meaning of this word conjugated. We might also say conjugation or to conjugate. So what do I mean by that? Essentially, conjugation means that you are changing the verb. You are changing it maybe perhaps to present tense or past tense or future tense. And in our case, you're going to be changing the verbs for a subject. In English, we do this too. We say something like I am, or we say you are. Am and are both parts of the verb to be. We would also say I sing, but we would say he sings. When we add that S, we are conjugating our verb in English. So we've worked with this chart a lot. Here we're talking specifically about using this chart for verbs, for the understanding of the conjugation of verbs. And we're going to start with the verb to be. If we were to fill in this chart in English, in this first box, we would write am, because this is the box that we go to when we're talking about I, or yourself. In the second box, we would put are, because that's what we say for the you are. And in the third box, we would put is, he is, or she is, or it is. Then we go over to our plural side, and we would put are, because we say we are, or you and I are. And in box number 5, we would put are, because we say you all are. And in box number 6, we would put are, because we say they are. So this is how it works in English. And you can see that we've talked about there are only 3 forms in English. You have am, are, which we use 4 times, and is. But really, there's only 3 forms. So now we're going to talk about Spanish, and we get more complicated because in Spanish there are 6 forms. Okay? So the verb ser, we sing our song, and we say yo soy, yo soy, yo soy. Oops, I need my pen. So we're going to have our soy be right here. And that's how you would say I am. And then we're going to have tú eres, tú eres, tú eres. So you have your eres here. And then we have our es for él and ella. And also, don't forget, your usted is down here as well for you, formal, singular. And then we have nosotros somos. So we have our somos. Now our song doesn't fill it in, but this form, box number 5, is going to be sois. Remember, you're pretty much only going to hear that in Spain, so we sort of put an X over it to remind us that we're not going to worry about it that much. And then we're going to go down to box number 6, which is for ellos and ellas and ustedes. Our plural form is going to be son. So there you have your 4 forms of the verb ser. I want this to be really clear. I want you to understand that when you go to box number 1, for this verb, we are saying I am. For box number 2, when we use this verb, eres, we're saying you are. For box number 3, when we say es, we could be saying he is with an L. We could be saying she is with an ella. We could be saying you are with an usted. Or we could be saying objects like the book is, el libro es. Or we could be saying Mark is, Marco es. When we go to box number 4, we're saying we are. Or maybe if we say tú y yo, we're saying you and I are. If we're saying la clase y yo, that would be the class and I are. La clase y yo somos. So this box, number 4, is the plural form of box number 1. It always includes an I. There's a yo somewhere in there, even if it's inside of nosotros. And in box number 6, we might be using it for an ellos or an ellas son. Or maybe we are saying ustedes son. Or maybe we're saying the books are, los libros son. Or maybe we're saying the classes are, las clases son. Or maybe we want to say Marco y Juan son. This box number 6 is going to be the plural form of box number 3. Okay, so if you're going to be reviewing here, here's something I want you to try to do. Forgive my writing here, my pen is having some trouble. But for numbers 1 through 7, I'd like you to take the subject that I've given you, and I want you to write down the subject, and then I want you to assign the verb that would go with it if I were trying to use the correct form of the verb to be. So, in number 1, your subject is Señora Robles. But be careful. I've tried to trick you almost right off the bat because I've used this comma. We've referred to it a few times in class. Remember that comma means I am addressing Señora Robles. I am talking to her. In number 2, I am talking about Señor Eta. You can see there's no comma, so that means I'm talking about him. In number 3, I have my subject of tú. 4, Clara y Ana. 5, los lápices. 6, mi familia. Y 7, mi papá y yo. Write down your subjects and then write down the verb that you would assign to each. Pause the video, and then when you have your answers written down, you can go ahead to the next slide and check your answers against my answers. So in number 1, your answer for the verb that would go with Señora Robles, when you are talking to her, you should be using an usted form of the verb, which is es. Oops, I forgot my pen. Es. If you are talking about Señor Eta, you would also use an es. All of these are singular people, so you know they're going to be on the left side of your column. If you're talking to tú, you would use eres. And if you're talking about Clara y Ana, now we're moving over to the plural side, so we'd have son. Here for los lápices, I'm going to erase that. We're going to write son. I'm assuming that you are having los lápices down on your paper. Next to los lápices, you're going to have son, which would mean the pencils are. Then, just to give myself some space, I'm erasing mi familia. You should keep it on your paper. Mi familia means my family, and I'm going to say mi familia es. Now, be a little careful here. I see this over time and time again. Remember, family is singular. You say my family is. Lots of people think, oh, it's all of my family, all the people in my family. That's plural. Yes, your family individually, you count them up. That's plural. But when you talk about one family, that's singular. Then I'm going to erase mi papá y yo. Remember, this is the clue. It includes myself. So I'm going to erase that to give myself some space. Make sure you keep it on your paper. And I'm going to write somos. And that would be mi papá y yo somos. My dad and I are. Okay, so here's your review for the verb ser. I hope you can bring to me any additional questions that you have, and we'll talk over them in class.